Welcome to the 123rd episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies Podcast.
So damn paranormal.
My name is Jason Knight, host of the show, and with me, as always, is...
Snuffleupagus. Oscar Spector.
Producer extraordinaire and podcast co-host. I was going to ask, are you like a depressive...
Well, isn't that the name of the Winnie the Pooh character that's always depressed?
No, dude, that was Eeyore.
Eeyore?
Snuffleupagus.
I don't remember. Is that a different? Is that a Muppet thing? Did I just mix different ones?
Oh my God, listeners are screaming right now.
Is that a Sesame Street character? I don't remember.
Snuffleupagus was the chronically depressed.
They both look the same to me.
Woolly mammoth, I think.
Right. Oh, was he depressed too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, then I got it right. Either way, I still had it right in my head, so it still works.
Hi, big bird. Like
so I was right.
Down as fuck, yeah.
Okay, so the one I said, so damn paranormal. That's exactly what I was going for.
It all worked. You meant it.
Yeah,
you meant
it's all intentional. It's all by design, folks. Yeah. Sit back, roll up my cigar. Yeah,
that worked. Drop the mic.
No, these are expensive.
How you been, man? How you been?
Coming off 2 weeks.
Another serial killer, yeah. Richard Ramirez.
Oh, that's right. We did do a serial killer.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, they're all fun though. They're all fun. I think. What am I? I'm on week 2, or about to start week 3, owning a pet, my first pet, and that is a sugar glider. Which are adorable. Please Google search, or don't Google, maybe Yahoo search.
Yeah,
sugar gliders.
Nice. I like that.
Or use a non-for-profit search engine, which they use it for charity, by the way, which is a nice thing they're doing out there for Google alternatives.
Ecosia is a big one.
That's one that's the one I use.
Ecosia listeners, either that or DuckDuckGo. I'm a big DuckDuckGo fan after this episode.
Yes. Yeah. Especially after this episode. So anyway, whatever you do, Google search, sugar gliders. They are super adorable. They're essentially squirrels with wings, but they, it's not just that. They're very cuddly, awesome animals. And we've been obviously getting into a rhythm with them right now. In the background of, in a different room, but in my background, Lexi is currently playing with our sugar glider named Lilith, by the way. And we are planning on getting another one at the end of this month / early October, because it's highly preferable that they have not a mate necessarily, but like a companion.
Oh, okay.
Because they live longer, they experience their own lives better, they groom each other, like naturally. So it's better to have 2. So we are getting a second one very soon. But this one is getting to know us very well, especially Lexi with all the biting. Love bites everywhere.
Yeah, you showed me. Lexi showed us her arm on the camera.
She looks like a heroin addict.
Looks like a heroin addict, yeah, from these little sugar glider bites.
They do feel like needles, though. It does feel pretty intense when she bites.
Hence Lilith, right?
Hence Lilith, right? Exactly. So yeah, that's been a fun experience. Otherwise, besides work and all the insanity of daily adulting life that sucks balls and no one wants to talk about. Besides that, I've been doing some arts and crafts in the house where I saw this online somewhere, so I still don't know how true it is. I've done it a couple of times. It does work, just not the exact way you wish. And it's this thing where I have, so in new apartments, so people got us housewarming gifts, including 2 different sets of mugs, coffee mugs, of 4. So I have 8 now. So we have 8 coffee mugs in 2 different designs. And I used one of them to practice doing this painting on it, where I would paint it in different designs or shade in different areas with thermal nail polish. And the idea is that when you pour hot coffee in it, it changes colors.
Oh, look at that.
Right? And the other 4 set that I have of mugs are actually all white. So they're like a perfect canvas for me to be creative. I haven't done anything with them because I want to buy better thermal nail polish. But I did buy some from Walmart, from some kid toy thing. And I used it on these other ones. And they do work. They change colors. It looks really cool. And I've been playing with that lately. So that's been a thing for me. I don't know why I started doing it. I just wanted to do it, and I just went out and bought one, and there you go.
Fucking mood struck, and I went.
Yeah,
I went with it.
did it. Just
I
freaking
like
did it.
that.
Yeah, I was like, I have 20 minutes in my free time to do something, so I just went out.
New hobby.
You happy, right? So hopefully next time I'll have the other set ready to go, and I can actually show you, Jay.
Nice.
Because I have like intricate designs for that one, like like a battery pack power down thing, or like you could be really creative.
Oh, so when it heats up, the battery charger indicator goes up, and when it cools down, it drops. I like that.
Right?
That is cool.
Oh.
Maybe you could make stuff like that for our patrons, or to entice people to come. I
was thinking of selling it, like an Etsy type of.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I've only practiced on these 4. And it doesn't. So it works. It works immediately when you put something in it. I tried it with hot water. Works perfectly fine. The only thing is that when it cools down, it takes longer. At least the thermal nail polish that I got for this, it takes longer for it to retreat back to its original color. Then it's not instantaneous.
I see. Well, that's okay.
Yeah, that is okay. But I was kind of hoping that it would be more instantaneous as the levels go down. Yeah. I was kind of hoping that it would go down with it. So either I have to buy some better version of the paint, or maybe that doesn't exist, in which case I might have to just deal with that. But if it's good enough, I'll fucking start selling this shit. And yes, I'll make some for the SOS patrons. Nice. We'll get one. Yeah,
you heard it. You heard him say it.
That could be fun. Yeah,
Very
it'll be whatever I want, though. It won't be like.
It's not going to be branded.
Right.
It's going to be Oscar special.
Maybe I'll just sign everyone's name on it, right? In paint or something. That could be fun too. All right. That's all I've been doing. How you been?
How you doing? I don't fuck, man. I don't know. Do listeners really want to hear?
You barely got this fucking show out.
I did. You're right, man.
By the skin of your teeth.
So, all right, I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. We had the kids' school schedule all figured out for the year. We had my wife's work schedule all figured out for the year. My wife is a teacher. The kids are staying home. We're giving them virtual school. We just, as a family, we don't know enough about all the information and or misinformation that's out there about COVID-19. So we wanted to err on the side of caution, keep the kids home, right? Try to keep a 7-year-old in a mask for 8 hours a day. It's just not going to happen. So we were going to keep them home.
When they swap out masks for quarters.
Right. Oh, I fucking love your Sonic the Hedgehog mask. Let me use your Darth Vader and you could have mine. No, you can't hit that. That'll happen. So to avoid all that rigmarole, we're going to keep them home. I already work from home. My wife, who's a teacher, like I said, it was originally planned that she was going to teach virtual. So there were going to be 2 parents home.
Right.
With the kids going to virtual school. Between the 2 of us, we could manage keeping the kids on point, making sure they're paying attention, staying in their seat, doing the work that's asked of them. Well, my wife's school district decided at the very last minute to call all the teachers into the classroom because parents have a choice.
Is that why?
Yes. So originally, it was supposed to all be virtual for the students. There was no choice for the parents. Parents got super pissed off and started protesting and making such a ruckus that a vote happened, and the school district decided to appease the parents, give the parents a choice, which means teachers have to be in the classroom now.
Yikes.
So there's going to be virtual teachers and there's going to be classroom teachers. My wife got called in for a classroom teacher. So
was that like random, or is that based on seniority or something? Or
it could have been age? Seniority, because she is fairly new to this school.
Well, I would also hope that it's not just seniority, because what if an old teacher that isn't that old in the school district, because old people, are more susceptible to the virus.
Right.
Things like that, right? I hope that's not really the case. Otherwise, I hope they would pick the healthiest teachers, ideally.
Isn't that ageism? I don't even know.
Ageism, is that something? Right.
But that's what it was decided. And so the whole idea of keeping our kids home and away from other people, possible infection. Well, now my wife is going to be in class with 20 other kids. Now she can bring it home. So what the fuck did we do in the first place? You know what I mean? It's a wash now. They could still get sick, right? So last week was the first week that I was home alone with the kids, pulling full-time work and full-time daddy duty, and it is fucking exhausting. It is.
Mr. Mom,
you can't give 100% to both, right?
No. Yeah,
so I don't know how things are going to fall out this semester. I don't know what I'm going to do. I didn't think this episode was going to come out. I thought for the very first time we were going to have to skip 2 weeks, but I got it together. And it's been just very, very stressful, very tiring, exhausting. So, and that's what we've been up to. I have nothing exciting.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's a change. Life, when it changes, is exciting, even if it's bad. It's like a great thing can be awful, but also can be awesome. Anyway, no, that sucks. That really sucks. The only way that rule will change for the better for you guys is if something happens at school. You know what I'm saying? Like
everyone's forced back home.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that what everyone has to go through to fucking get it through their fucking skulls? I don't even know why it's a choice. I mean, I know that people were protesting, but come on.
Yeah, the families went nuts. And I really think it has a lot to do, and I'm going to be controversial here, right? I really think it has a lot to do with parents not wanting to.
Oh, I understand.
Be home with the kids.
I understand that completely. So many, especially if they're old enough where like you've gotten used to them being in school all the time, right? Or for 8 hours a day during these seasons and whatever, and you have your own rhythm, or you can assure yourself you can work, or you can do this housework or in peace, right? And you don't have that anymore. Guess what? Stop bitching about that. That's not important anymore. It's just the way it is now.
Yep.
We have to get rid of this thing.
Yes, and I agree completely. So, and I think a lot of parents use school as a babysitter. You're more than happy to keep the kids home, and we're going to figure out a way.
And I understand the idea of the break. I get it, but like there are bigger problems than that.
Yes, agreed.
Bigger stakes.
Yeah. But so nothing exciting because we have just been so fucking busy. We did watch our family movie night tonight was Edward Scissorhands. The kids never seen Edward Scissorhands, and I forgot how great that movie is.
That movie's really good.
Fantastic.
It's like high Tim Burton.
Was it Tim Burton's first movie?
No, it wasn't his first movie.
It wasn't his first?
Like Frankenweenie.
Really?
Frankenweenie? Not the anime. He remade it for animated purposes later on, but he did. Didn't he do Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
What? I never knew that.
I want to double check that. I'm sorry. I might be misspeaking on that one.
No, it's okay.
But as you talk, I can look it up.
As you watch Edward Scissorhands, you could see all of the influence it had on like Nightmare Before Christmas, on Corpse Bride, just with imagery within Edward's castle and the mechanisms that Vincent Price used in that movie to create Edward, and you see the influence, how it carried out through other Tim Burton.
All right, so he did do a bunch of short movies, including Frankenweenie as a short, but his first big movie was Pee-wee's Big Adventure, 1985.
Wow, I didn't know that was Tim Burton.
And after that is Beetlejuice, then Batman, and then Edward Scissorhands.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Did not know that.
Yeah, and then after that is Batman Returns, Ed Wood, and then it goes from there. And then he gets really bad in Planet of the Apes, and then Charlie and my opinion, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And he gets bad. And I mean, once Alice in Wonderland hits, he never makes a good hit after that. Wow. At least a good movie, in my opinion. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children was fun.
I like that one.
I did like that one, but I would say I did enjoy it, but it wasn't anywhere near his 90s and 80s stuff. Nowhere near it.
No. And so like I said, I remembered how much I liked it, and the kids loved it. They just thought it was
glad.
Cool.
That's so cool because like that can be a double-edged sword sometimes. They could where are the fountains?
No,
I'm kidding.
They were
how kids act.
They were enraptured with the film, which was really great. And I also noticed that Edward, he has so many similarities to like a Cenobite from Hellraiser.
He does, right? He really does.
So in
that movie, he's an angel to some and a demon to others.
Good point.
Right?
Good point.
Although I would say an angel to one Winona Ryder and a demon to everyone else.
Yeah, which made me think: did Tim Burton pull on Clive Barker influence? Pull an influence from
It
Clive
definitely
Barker?
came out after, so yeah, you could say that maybe.
That
I mean,
sounds so crazy.
Even the get up, right? A little bit. He looks like a
100%.
Cenobite, what am I thinking of? Like he got like extradited from the Cenobite clans or something.
Yes.
Like a reject, right?
The bondage leather.
Can you imagine Edward Scissorhands applying for the Cenobite job and like, all right, so what are the qualifications? Well, I have these scissor knives.
Scissor knives.
Whatever. I'm like, yeah, but Freddy Krueger is already taking over the Midwest. Yeah, but I'm not like him. Look at what I'm like. I'm emo.
I'm emo, bro.
I'm emo, bro. Which is
the Cure, man.
Opposite culture. And they're like, we're gonna pass you, but it's a light pass though. We keep you as a reference. So if you want other employers, you can call us. Okay. But we don't think you're Cenobite material enough to torture. Can you torture children out of people? No. We'll see.
Yeah. We're gonna hire that woman over there with the flayed open throat instead.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
She's a promising figure. Yeah.
So that's it, man. That's all I got.
That's great. That's a lot. That's enough.
The easiest way to contact the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast is by visiting our website.
There is no easy way.
ChicagoGhostPodcast.com.
Little did you know is that when you type in our name into anything, Instagram, YouTube, fuck.com, whatever it is we're using, whenever you do that, you're actually giving us information and we're stealing from you. So like, I wouldn't do it. Is my point.
Foreshadowing?
Yeah, I would say, especially when you put in the quote unquote phone number that Jay's about to get to here, it's actually like some sort of Morse code really connection thing. It just hooks you to the NSA directly. It's fucked up.
It's so heavy laden foreshadowing in this intro.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just
from ChicagoGhostPodcast.com, you can get to all of our social media sites, including YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, Patreon. And speaking of Patreon, Oscar, listeners, for just $5 a month, if they join our Patreon, they get access to Patreon-only podcast episodes. Those are episodes that we do. We have a ton of them up there.
What?
And these are episodes that will never appear on our public podcast feed. It's just for our patrons. It's a way of saying thank you.
But you can pirate them, though.
I'm sure there's a way.
I'm sure there is a way, but we'd have to be bigger than that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To be possible.
To get to our Patreon, check the show notes. There's a link that'll take you right there. Or you can go to patreon.com/Supernatural Occurrence Studies Podcast. That's patreon.com/Supernatural Occurrence Studies Podcast. Pledge your support for your favorite show. You can get a hold of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies Podcast by dialing our phone number. That's Chicago area code 872-529-0767.
Nobody uses their phone as a phone.
That is a good point. They don't.
Who does that?
Exactly. 872-529-0767. Call us, send us a text message. We'll read them and play them on the show. We'd love to hear from you guys. And at that, I say we take a break, Oscar.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Listeners, welcome back to the show. Well, the lights are turned down low. The ceremonial candle is lit.
It is, folk.
And Oscar's White Russian is flowing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's start this show. Let's do it. So, tonight we're going rogue. And I'm covering serial killers. We're haunted stuff. We're haunted conspiracies. Well, kind of conspiracy.
Actually, so
heavy conspiracy. But we're covering one of the largest companies in the world, one of the largest telecom providers in the world, a company that failed. It's big to fail and discuss whether or not it tracks its users, allows agencies to hack.
Howdy, folks. Oscar here, independently from Jay, to say that, as you obviously just heard, our sound was motherfucking hacked. That's right. Our signal was hacked all the fuck up, and they were trying to scramble us, or something was weirdly happening, because I've never seen that before. If you had seen the Zoom video call, you would see the visual version of that happening at the same time. But alas, we were able to fix the rest of it, and everything comes out really fine. The meat of the episode has not even started yet when it got interrupted there. It was just the opening, but I couldn't save it now. So I left it in there to further show you the foreshadowing, so to speak, as what we're going to talk about today. So enjoy the rest of the show. Rest assured, the rest is okay.
So Google was founded on September 4th, 1998 in Menlo Park, California by Larry Page and Sergey Brin while they were PhD students at Stanford University. Now, the name Google comes from the misspelling of the word Google, Googol.
Like the writer?
No, it's actually a number. It's the number 1 followed by 100 zeros, or 10 to the power 100.
Oh, like a Googleplex.
Yeah, or I think they pronounce it Gogol.
Googleplex.
That number, I think.
Well, there's a famous writer named Gogol who did Dead Souls. Someone out there got the reference. But it's not. I don't think it's spelled that way, though. So I'm sorry. Continue.
No, it's okay. I didn't know this either. I learned so much researching this episode. I thought this was going to be kind of a loose fit kind of episode.
Okay.
Wouldn't be too research heavy given the past week plus that we've had here. I wanted kind of a light topic, but interesting at the same time. I was wrong. This could have easily been
wrong.
A 2 or 3 parter. So I didn't know that either. I didn't know it was a misspelling of the word Gogol. It's interesting.
That's funny.
Now, the name was picked to signify that the Google search engine was intended to provide large quantities of information. Google's founders set out to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Now, the very first Google search executed by someone not on the Google development team for testing purposes was performed by a man named John Hennessy, also known as the godfather of Silicon Valley, in 1998. Larry Page and Sergey Brin were demonstrating to Hennessy their search software's accuracy compared to other search engines like Alta Vista, which was the major search engine at the time.
I kind of remember that, yeah.
Yeah, yep. Oh, I remember it. Yeah, we're dating ourselves.
Well, you're old as fuck, but I barely remember it. But you really well remember it.
I'm a Gogol old. See that? Now, Hennessy typed the words Gerhard Casper into the Google search engine, the fledgling Google search engine. And Gerhard Casper, the person and the president of Stanford University at the time, came back as a result, not Casper the Friendly Ghost, like Alta Vista, the major search engine at the time, returned. And this is exactly what Hennessy wanted to happen.
It's a test.
Yes.
A test balloon.
That was the first official Google search. Today, Google handles 3.8 million searches per minute on average from across the globe. That comes out to 228 million searches an hour, 5.6 billion searches a day, and 2 trillion searches per year. Isn't that crazy?
That is nuts.
It just shows what a monopoly Google has in the realm of searching for information.
I can't even tell you the number of times people just in mid-conversation, like, oh, what's that actor? Google it. Like it's like a common thing to do.
It's actually part of the encyclopedia now in the dictionary, the word Google.
Oh, as a term to like look up something?
Yeah.
To mean that?
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
Makes sense.
Now, here's some other fun facts about Google. According to statistics published by the Electronic Frontier Foundation in March of 2020, Quote, Google controls about 62% of mobile browsers, 69% of desktop browsers, and the operating systems on 71% of mobile devices in the world. 92% of internet searches go through Google, and 73% of American adults use YouTube, which is owned by Google. Google runs code on approximately 85% of sites on the web, and inside as many as 94% of apps in the Google Play Store. It collects data about users' every click, tap, query, and movement from all those sources and more, end quote. Mm-hmm. Here's another fun fact. Before it was named Google, Page and Brin's search engine was called Backrub. They called it Backrub because their search engine analyzed the web's backlinks to understand how important a website was and what other sites it related to. Basically, the more backlinks a website had, the more relevant it would be in search ranking, hence the name Backrub.
Right. Well, I'm glad the name, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of a creepy name.
A little bit.
When it comes to email services, not surprisingly, Gmail has the most users, over 1.8 billion active users. And the average Gmail account is worth around $3,588.85. This number is based on the average number of emails an account holds, about 17,000, as well as the time it takes to write an email and the time it would take to rewrite those emails in case they're lost. And in case you wanted to know, 306.4 billion Gmails are sent and received daily.
Not surprised.
Damn. Google's market value is currently $858 billion, almost $1 trillion. And the crazy thing is, it's still growing. Another crazy thing is that advertising alone for Google brings in over $110 billion a year for Google. These are B's.
Yeah.
B's and T's.
That's not a typo, folks.
No.
Right.
This just gives you an idea what a monster we're dealing with here, okay? In 1998, Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos was one of the first people to invest in Google. His opening investment was $250,000. Today, Bezos' investment is worth $2.2 billion.
Damn.
Just some fun facts, some stuff I found while doing the research here.
Oh, that's crazy, though. Yeah.
Now, through a restructuring of Google, on October 2nd, 2015, Larry Page and Sergey Brin created a parent company called Alphabet Inc. So Google and a number of its subsidiaries, including YouTube, are now owned by Alphabet. Now, Alphabet was created to allow Google to focus on what it does best, internet services, while at the same time allowing Google to get its hands into other ventures that are pretty far off from their core offerings. You know, Google Search, Android, Chrome, Google Drive, Gmail, Google Maps, Google Earth, Google Play, YouTube, and online advertising.
Damn.
Now, examples of Alphabet subsidiaries, and this is interesting stuff, include what Alphabet refers to as other bets. These other subsidiary companies of Alphabet, they refer to as other bets. Some of these other bets, for example, is a company called Calico, which is in the human health and anti-aging business. There's DeepMind, which develops artificial intelligence and neural networks. And I'm telling you, we could do a whole episode on DeepMind. There's a company called Loon, which provides 4G LTE internet access through high-altitude balloons. There's Waymo, which develops autonomous driving technologies. And actually, one of our listeners, I think you know who you are, works for one of these autonomous driving technology companies. And I have to ask him if it's Waymo or not. It might be, but I'll let you guys know.
Yeah.
There's a company called Wing, which plays with drone-based freight delivery technology. And there's a company just called X, which focuses on research and development for what's called moonshot. It's called moonshot technologies. These sci-fi sounding technologies that aim to make the world a radically better place. like providing people internet access through beams of light. That kind of Star Trek stuff.
Yeah. Beam me up, Scotty.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, from X's mission statement, their goal is to make 10 times impact on the world's most difficult problems, not just 10 times improvement. In my opinion, X is a very interesting company to keep your eye on. Check them out by simply typing into a Google search engine, x.company. No www, no .com, just x.company.
Mm-hmm.
And take a look at their portfolio. It's some pretty incredible stuff. So these are the type of businesses, or again, other bets, Alphabet brings under its wing. Not the company wing, the metaphorical wing. Incredibly cutting-edge, potentially world-changing businesses. And each business has its own CEO and heads. Page and Brin don't sit at the head of each company. That'd be impossible. And each business is under the Alphabet umbrella, which means Alphabet will use Google and YouTube revenue to help fund these other bets, giving them the money they need to develop technology, grow roots, and become viable. Now, to date, Alphabet has over 200 other bets in its umbrella, making Alphabet the fourth largest company in the world in terms of market value, revenue, and profit. And I left a link in the show notes, which shows all the companies Alphabet owns and what sector of business they're in. Check it out. It's pretty impressive stuff. The only companies considered to be larger than Alphabet are Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft. As of the time I'm scripting this episode, purchasing a single share of Google, or rather Alphabet Inc., will set an investor back $1,581.21. Just super expensive, but not the most expensive stock in the world. The title of most expensive stock in the world goes to Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, with an unbelievable price tag of roughly $300,000 a share.
You're kidding me.
The more you know. Yeah.
I mean, I know he makes hella bank on that stuff.
$300K.
But what is it? What does he do with it? I don't understand. I never understand the Warren Buffett thing. What is it? It's just a bunch of restaurants, isn't it? And stuff like that?
No. It's like a venture capital firm. They invest in other businesses and things. But $300,000 a share is the most expensive stock in the world. Berkshire Hathaway.
Yikes.
Yeah. Now, for my last little Google factoid, let's talk about a no longer secret NSA spy program called PRISM. On June 6, 2013, based on information provided by NSA contractor and whistleblower Edward Snowden, both The Guardian and The Washington Post released bombshell articles declaring that the NSA, the National Security Agency, right, had carte blanche direct access to data servers owned by Google, Facebook, Microsoft, YouTube, AOL, Paltalk, Skype, and Apple. Now, PRISM, which is an acronym for Planning Tool for Resource Integration, Synchronization, and Management. PRISM is a data tool designed to collect and process foreign intelligence that passed through American servers. And it was enabled under President George W. Bush by the Protection of America Act of 2007 and by the FISA Amendments Act of 2008. Okay, a couple things here, right? The Protect America Act of 2007 is an amendment, a controversial amendment to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act of 1978, also known as FISA, F-I-S-A. In a nutshell, FISA sought to provide judicial and congressional oversight of foreign intelligence surveillance activities while maintaining the secrecy necessary to effectively monitor national security threats. The main things to keep in mind with FISA are a rigidly defined procedure, judicial and congressional oversight, and a little detail that says a warrant must be secured in order to authorize electronic surveillance of foreign targets. What George W.'s Protect America Act of 2007 did is remove the warrant requirement for government surveillance of foreign targets, reasonably believed to be located outside of the United States. You got to love that legalese. Foreign targets, reasonably believed to be, right? What exactly constitutes foreign? As far as targets being foreign, the NSA needs to only be 51% sure of a target's foreignness. And of course, how do you define foreignness and reasonably believed? What are the reasons? Who's doing the reasoning? It's just slippery.
How can you be 51% sure of anything?
Exactly. It's slippery language, right? Yes. But that's what's written. That's what's written in. Now, the FISA Amendments Act of 2008 reinforced George W.'s Protect America Act of 2007 by granting sweeping new monitoring powers to the government with little court oversight, while ensuring the dismissal of all pending cases against telecommunication companies. And that's the important one, the dismissal of all pending cases against telecommunication companies. In other words, if Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Yahoo, etc., were found to have facilitated communications concerning foreign threats or terrorist activities in the form of phone calls, emails, chat, video, stuff like that, those telecommunication companies would not be held responsible for those terrorists' use of their services if the telecoms complied with government spy programs like PRISM. Now, I get it. After 9/11, we must find a way to defend our borders and stop terrorism dead in its tracks so we don't have a repeat of 9/11, which just happened 2 days ago, right? The anniversary. Totally get that. Yep, I totally get it. And I'm of the mindset that if you, Mr. Government, find it necessary to statch up my porn browsing habits in order to keep America safe, have at it. I got nothing to hide. I'm also the guy at the airport security line whistling as I take off my shoes and belt because I understand that if me taking off my shoes and belt stops some asshole from bringing a bomb on the plane, here, then take my pants too. The fact is, though, not all people think like me. When programs like PRISM mine for data on foreign threats, inadvertently, innocent Americans will have their electronic communications swept up in the process as well. A clear violation of the Fourth Amendment, which prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures and requires any search warrant to be judicially sanctioned and supported by probable cause. If this isn't a violation of the Fourth Amendment, it's damn close. And people do not like that shit. Either way, getting back
Especially not Americans.
Say it again.
Especially not Americans, probably.
Exactly. We can't even get Americans to wear a fucking mask. You're not going to tell me what to do.
Right. Exactly.
Not everyone thinks like I do. So getting back to my point, PRISM is real. It's a real thing. It's just not as subversive, I think, or evil as people believe. Probably. You see, when the articles by The Guardian and the Washington Post came out, the public went absolutely bananas, not knowing that the articles may have been written in haste. Journalists wanting to get a huge story out without thoroughly fact-checking some of Snowden's claims. Now, first and foremost, the companies supposedly allowing PRISM operatives direct access to their data servers were passionately denying all involvement in the PRISM program. And since this is a Google episode, let's focus on what Google had to say to these claims. Now, here's a quote. Google cares deeply about the security of our users' data. We disclose user data to government in accordance with the law, and we review all such requests carefully. From time to time, people allege that we have created a government backdoor into our systems, but Google does not have a backdoor for the government to access private user data. Any suggestion that Google is disclosing information about our users' internet activity on such a scale is completely false, end quote. Google says it'll even push back on data requests, and that every single request for data is thoroughly analyzed by their lawyers before any information is handed over to the government. And when Google was asked about how private information is actually handed over to the government when requested in accordance with the law, surprisingly, Google claimed the handing over of information is completed in a fairly low-tech manner, including printing a hard copy of the data and physically handing it to an agent, or placing the information onto a removable hard drive, or transferring the data via SFTP, or Secure File Transfer Protocol. No backdoors and no direct access to Google servers by the U.S. government. Today, Google even publishes transparency reports on how many government data requests the company has received and how many it actually complied with. Listeners, go to transparencyreport.google.com and check it out. It's really interesting to see just how many government requests for information Google receives in a year. We're talking hundreds of thousands. Now, prior to the release of the PRISM story, it said that Google was in talks with the NSA to provide them a secure portal within the Google network from which the NSA could access and remove files. And that's what PRISM really was. Now, this might sound a little shady and nefarious, but all that was really being talked about was a Google Drive or a Dropbox-like feature being added within the Google infrastructure from which an NSA/PRISM operative could easily grab a file that was requested from Google in accordance with the law, eliminating the need for paper-based transfer of information and jump drives. Think about when you give your friend access to a Google Drive folder of yours. That friend could access only that folder and its contents within your overall Google Drive account. They can't see anything else, right? Oscar, you and I do this with the podcast.
Right.
You have a very specific folder inside my overall Google Drive account that's all you can see, right? Mm-hmm. So in the case of the news being reported about PRISM, I believe the quote-unquote direct access to big telecom servers was simply this Google Drive or Dropbox-like feature being added within Google, making the transferring of legally obtained data easier, which may or may not have ever been put into practice in the first place. We just don't know. But me, personally, after doing tons of research, I don't think PRISM is as worrisome as some people claim. And PRISM is still running today, just so you know. Now, I got to mention it here. Most of the PRISM surveillance program information that was leaked came from a PowerPoint presentation put together by the NSA, which Edward Snowden leaked to The Guardian and The Washington Post. Without The Guardian and The Post being privy to the PowerPoint's context, and without them being in the room when the PowerPoint was presented, it's easy to misconstrue the presentation's overall meaning and message. And a lot of debate has gone into what exactly the information on the slides really mean. Was Google and Facebook and Microsoft, etc., really complicit with the PRISM program? And did they really allow direct, unfettered access to their servers like the PowerPoint suggests? We'll leave that for you to decide, because I've left a link to those PowerPoint slides, the ones that were released to the public anyway, in the show notes. Check them out and let us know what you think. You with me?
Yeah.
So that's PRISM. That was a big deal, and it's still active. Now, what I'm more worried about over PRISM is an NSA initiative called upstream surveillance. With upstream surveillance, communications are collected by the intelligence community as they travel over the internet backbone. So in this case, the communication isn't collected from a secure location on a Google server, a la Google Drive or Dropbox. So Google isn't even needed in this instance. Instead, the data is collected before or after it leaves Google servers, as it's in transit, traveling through the fiber optic cables you and I pay for when we subscribe to AT&T Internet or Comcast, Spectrum, whatever. And this absolutely does happen. And it's supposed to target any foreign person located abroad who is believed to possess foreign intelligence information. Again, such broad terms, right? What about journalists reporting on foreign governments, or a business entrepreneur expanding their business into a foreign country? Are they considered targets that have foreign intelligence?
Right.
Of this activity, Big Telecom is aware, and Google now secures Gmail communications as it travels across the web, for example. And other companies have secured aspects of their offerings as well. And so, just like PRISM, Upstream is alive and well to this day, as both initiatives were renewed by President Donald Trump in 2019. Nice. Now, there's one more surveillance program I'd like to mention. One that Google was absolutely, totally unaware of as it was happening. It was a secret program run by the NSA and Britain's Government Communications Headquarters, or the GCHQ, a program called Muscular. Now, news about Muscular came out in 2013, again as a leak by Edward Snowden, just like PRISM. With Muscular, the NSA and the GCHQ broke into the main communication links that connect Google data centers located overseas. And just so you know, Yahoo was part of this too. Now, between December 2012 and January 2013, it's estimated that the Muscular program collected 181 million records between both Google and Yahoo. And what it was targeting was much broader than a person's 51% foreignness, and a person's perceived connection to terrorism and knowledge of foreign intelligence. But what those parameters were exactly, we just don't know. You see, at the time, data was transmitted unencrypted inside Google's private cloud. In other words, between Google server to Google server. The NSA and the GCHQ figured out this vulnerability and exploited the shit out of it. With Muscular, secure access folders on Google servers with Prism weren't needed, and neither were warrants. The intelligence agencies just had to tap into that unsecure link between Google servers and let Muscular roll. Google now encrypts all communications within its private cloud network as a direct response to the Muscular program. And as far as we know, today, the Muscular program is dead. But believe me, there are many other surveillance programs out there. Google it if you want to paranoia yourself. We just don't have the time to talk about them all. Because from here, I'd like to talk a little bit about Google Maps. Google tracks everywhere you've been with Google Maps location history feature.
Especially with Pokemon Go.
Oh, yes. We'll get a little bit into that. I'll touch on that. I didn't script it, but I researched it.
Yeah.
So Google Maps location history feature, what Google refers to internally as Sensor Vault, a treasure trove of detailed records involving at least hundreds of millions of smart devices worldwide. Google urges you to explore your location history timeline, to rediscover the places you've been and the routes you've traveled in your timeline. Mm-hmm. And I love how they use the word rediscover. It has this nostalgic, almost friendly ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, they choose their wording very carefully, really.
Yes, their marketing people are genius. Now, according to Google, location history helps you, the user, get useful information like automatic commute predictions and improved search results like location-based advertisements by creating a private map of where you go with your logged-in devices. Mm-hmm. And Google promises that only you can see your location history timeline. Now, maybe it's just me and I'm the ignorant one, but I didn't realize Google Maps offered this feature.
Oh, really?
Yes. I found out when I was researching this episode. While I was researching this episode, I was mostly on my laptop. When I found an article about Google Maps location history feature, I wanted to test it. Now, I had to make sure I was logged into Google Maps using the same Google account that I use on my mobile device. Right. Then I had to go to a specific link, which I would have never known otherwise. That's google.com/maps/history. And then I could view places I've been and adjust location history settings, like turning the feature off, which I did. You could also, from a laptop or desktop, log into your Google account, go to Maps, then in the top left-hand corner of Maps, click the little menu icon, or the burger icon, people call it. And a menu will pop up with a whole bunch of different options, including your timeline. This will do the same thing as going to google.com/maps/history while logged into your Google account, just so you know. If you're using Google Maps on your smart device, make sure you're logged into your Google account and location is set to on. Then click your account profile picture within Google Maps, and again, a menu will pop up and your history is there as an option. Now, rewind a bit to catch that if you have to, because I'd really like you guys to see what I'm talking about in this segment. You can follow along. So, multiple ways to get to this tracking feature, but who really goes there and explores? If you're anything like me, you jump in your car, open Google Maps, type in your direction, and off you go, following that cute little car icon as you zone out to the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast. Am I right?
You're not left.
There's no thought in it. We just do it. All the while, as long as we're logged into our Google account and location is set to on, our movements are being tracked and logged. Now, when I logged into my timeline, I found 342 locations I visited dating all the way back to 2012.
Wow.
I was shocked. I found a hotel my wife and I stayed at in Miami, and Google was right. I totally forgot about that trip. So it was nice to rediscover that information. But it also had locations I don't even remember visiting, like an assisted living facility near the Illinois-Wisconsin border that I apparently visited in 2014. Yeah.
For what? You don't know?
Fuck if I know. I also discovered that I could see Google Map images of these places as well. For example, I found that in 2013, I visited a friend's house here in Chicago. I was able to click the address and then see a picture of that friend's house. I could also see the exact date and time I visited a particular location and the exact directions I followed to get there. Just a ton of information sitting out there on Google servers. And that's the thing. This information is sitting out there, always. And it's been sitting there for a long time, most likely. Now, here's a fun little exercise. Do you know when you first started using Google services? If you go to this episode's show notes, I left instructions on how to find out. I began using Gmail, hence Google services, on July 7th, 2006, over 14 years ago. You could also do the same thing with your search and browsing history by going to history.google.com/history. Again, check the show notes. And if you've never cleared your browsing history, you could see when you performed your very first Google search. Honestly, my history was so vast, I only went back until January this year. I just didn't have the time to go page down through my entire history. But I'm sure my first Google search was performed somewhere around 2014 or 2004, 2005, something like that.
Right.
Listeners, let us know what you think when you find your first search. Try it out. Let us know. It'd be fun to know. Anyway, back to Google Maps location history. There are cases where police agencies have issued warrants to obtain a person's Google Maps location history from Google to use as evidence in criminal cases. Take, for example, a bank robbery that happened at the Call Federal Credit Union in Midlothian, Virginia in May 2019. That afternoon, a man wielding a gun walked into the credit union, ordered everyone to their knees, demanded entry to the vault, and made off with just under $200,000 in cash. Good score. When police began analyzing security footage, they noticed that the assailant was holding a cell phone as he walked into the credit union.
Wow.
Police quickly drafted up a search warrant and submitted it to Google. The police wanted Google to provide location information from every user that was in the bank's vicinity within 1 hour forwards and backwards of the robbery, and Google complied. The results came back with 19 anonymous individuals in the area around the time of the robbery, and police set out to whittle that list down using individual names, email addresses, subscriber information, phone numbers, and, of course, location history. This practice of sweeping up anyone in a geographic location as part of a warrant is known as geofencing. And although it can be effective, its constitutional legality is highly questionable, as geofencing subjects innocent people to a dragnet-like search without their knowledge or consent, coming dangerously close to violating the Fourth Amendment, right? In other words, no reasonable searches and seizures.
Right.
Now, in this specific case, the credit union, within the credit union's vicinity, there was a few apartment buildings, 2 churches, restaurants, and a highway. And think about this. No search warrant in the world would allow police to search every person, house, or business in a given area. But a geofence warrant, that's exactly what happened. Anyway, 3 months later, a 24-year-old man named Okello Chartree was arrested and convicted of the credit union robbery. Now, as I mentioned, Google does allow you to turn location history features off, and you're allowed to delete stored location information. But even if you delete this information, is it really gone? I know with Gmail, all emails are backed up offline, and Google keeps multiple copies of users' emails to use in the event of a system failure and with errors. Even if you delete an email, it could take up to at least 60 days or longer to permanently delete any stored copies. And what about the offline copies of emails? How long are those stored, and where are they stored? Google isn't clear on that. So if this is what's being done with Gmail, it's safe to say that the same thing is being done with location history too. All of your stored information, actually. So is it really gone forever? It's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah.
Now, here's something I've done in the past, and I guess I didn't really realize how creepy it is till I was researching this episode. If you're a traveler like me, like I used to be, and you take lots of flights for work or pleasure, whatever, make sure you're logged into your Google account and just Google the phrase, my flights, or my past flights. Go ahead. We'll wait. And when you enter those phrases into Google, Google will crawl through all of your email and aggregate and present all relevant data that has to do with flight history. It'll pull current and past boarding passes, flight itineraries, travel plans, flight confirmations, everything.
Wow.
Now, yeah, this might seem cool and really convenient, but what it's demonstrating is that Google search, in the matter of a second, can search your entire Gmail account and pull back information it deems relevant. Is it just me, or is that some creepy shit? Just imagine the power of that algorithm, and then imagine how that algorithm could be tweaked just a bit to search your G Calendar, your Google Drive, your location history, your chat logs, even your Google Voice messages and texts. You're a wide open book at that point.
Yeah, the phone number for the show.
Now, here's something else that's kind of creepy. Google is always trying to get to know you. Kind of. I should say, Google is always trying to understand who you are as a person, and most importantly, as a consumer. Listeners, just for funsies, try this. And again, I did this on my laptop, okay? Mm-hmm. Make sure you're logged into your Google account, your Gmail account, and then click your photo icon in the top right corner. Then click Manage Your Google Account. Next, click on Data and Personalization, and about a quarter of the way down, under Add Personalization, click on Go to Add Settings. This will open the Add Settings window. Again, this stuff is in the show notes. The first thing you'll notice is that Add Personalization is on by default. I turn that off. Something else that's on by default is in the drop-down labeled Advanced. It's right there at the top of the Add Settings window. If you drop down Advanced, you'll see a box already checked that says, quote, also use your activity and information from Google services to personalize ads on websites and apps that partner with Google to show ads. This stores data from websites and apps that partner with Google in your Google account, end quote. Now, considering a Google partner website is any Google website, YouTube included, and any non-Google website on which Google can run ads, yeah, I unchecked that box too. Now, if you scroll down a little further, down on the page, you get to see how Google sees you as a person and as a consumer, what Google calls factors. And these factors are how Google serves you up advertisements across the web. When I did it, I found that I had 210 factors that, according to Google, make me, me. Google has me pegged as a male, 35 to 44 years of age, which is correct. And that probably came from something I filled out on Google years ago, maybe when I opened my Gmail account. So no big deal. But then it lists a ton of my supposed interests based off of sites I visited and Google searches I've performed over the years. And that's how Google decides which advertisements I see as I'm innocently surfing the web late at night. Things like Home Depot, Ghost Bed, Samsung Electronics, Wayfair, and Best Buy. There are also broader factors, according to Google, that make me, me, like animated films, action and adventure films, bars, clubs, nightlife, and beaches and islands. Google describes these broad factors like this, quote, Google estimates this interest based on your signed-in activity on Google services, such as search or YouTube, as well as your signed-in activity on non-Google websites and apps, end quote. Now, what the hell? Signed-in activity on non-Google websites and apps? Turns out, Google is the largest operator of third-party tracking scripts. So, yes, Google can see what I do on non-Google related websites and apps. Now, this one made me shiver a bit. There was even a factor that said I was a parent of grade schoolers, note grade schoolers, plural, aged between 6 and 12. My son is 7 and my daughter is 12.
Right.
Now, Google explains this creepily accurate factor as follows, quote, Google estimates the demographic because your signed-in activity on Google services, such as search or YouTube, is similar to people who've told Google they're in these categories, end quote. Fucking this verbiage kind of makes your head spin. Now, yeah. Right? Now, a lot of this stuff could be turned off, and you could opt out of a lot of it as well, but still, this data collection feature is on by default, And you really have to search for it to even realize that Google is building this profile on you. Now, there was one factor I found that was turned off for whatever reason. One thing Google thinks I hate and will therefore not show me ads for it across the web.
What is it?
Reggaeton. Google thinks I hate reggaeton music.
Oh.
Deme más gasolina. Deme más gasolina. Hey.
Why?
Shows what Google knows. All right, enough horsing around. Also under data and personalization, if you scroll down to activity controls and click on manage your activity controls, and in the next window, click on manage activity, the next window that pops up will show you each and every website you've ever visited down to the exact date and time. I even found exact searches I performed on Google, word for word. And this is the same thing as going to history.google.com/history, just so you know. Yeah, down to the word of what I searched when. It's amazing. Amazing.
So like if you type in a typo,
it'll be there.
Right.
But you know what it didn't see? What I searched on DuckDuckGo. It just showed that I visited DuckDuckGo, did not know what I searched.
Well, yeah, of course. It's because ideally they're a separate entity.
No, it's supposed to be all anonymous.
Well,
DuckDuckGo is anonymous. It doesn't track. Which is kind of cool, listeners. But
yeah.
Now here's something interesting and more than a little scary. In a 2019 article in Forbes, I read that Google is working on artificial intelligence that can predict when a person will die. According to the article.
They have the information for it. It feels very much like a...
kind of like the next step.
No, it feels like that show that we both watched, Devs.
Oh, Devs was great.
It's similar to, and I'm not saying the same exact way or anything, but it's like this tech company that does similar things to Google is doing this shady extra, has this other department. And in there, they're taking in what seems to be unquantifiably a large amount of data to predict and to predict the future. And it's such a cool, it's cool in a sci-fi show,
but not in real life.
Not maybe so in real life, right?
And I really think Devs is, do I want to say simile, a metaphor for Google and Alphabet, and all Alphabet's other bets, the other subsidiaries, like DeepMind, right, that develops a lot of this AI and things.
Right.
Now, according to that Forbes article, quote, Google is currently training a new artificial intelligence computer to predict whether hospital patients will die within 24 hours after being admitted. So far, during the initial trials, the system has been 95% accurate. It makes its predictions using basic data such as a patient's age, ethnicity, and gender, and a new algorithm that includes information like a patient's vital signs, medical history, and even PDFs, charts, and handwritten notes from his or her doctors, end quote.
Yeah, that's like some Black Mirror episode you're describing also.
Yeah,
right?
Good call. Absolutely. Yes. And Google, or rather Alphabet's DeepMind division, we just talked about it, right, which we mentioned earlier, is trying to develop AI that can predict the outcomes of certain situations, giving the AI the ability to imagine and reason about the future. Wow, I mean, this shit is crazy, man.
And that's good. That's heading into what Westworld season 3 is about.
Ooh, I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's okay. It's in the first episode of season 3.
It's fine.
Of season 3. But it's about this supercomputers, putting it lightly, comparatively. But it's like this Rehoboam is what it's called in the show. It's this world where everyone is dictated through one AI engine. And it's there to basically quell the world, make it as peaceful as possible, so that way there's no, destruction in humanity. And it apparently does all the stuff that you're kind of describing. Obviously, that is it. That's like some near future stuff in Westworld, like 100 to 200 years from now. But it's what you're describing is very eerily accurate to what that show was doing.
It's awesome. It's so crazy.
It's crazy.
This is so crazy shit, man.
And these are all recent shows too, by the way.
I wonder if they're pulling, source material from like some of these.
This happens all the time, actually, when it comes to art. and writings, when you think of books too, before movies were a big thing, you see a lot of this happening in a lot of like writings and artistic expression that kind of like they talk about these potential factors, right? Like in this case, we're talking about AI and these computers and algorithms that predict people's activities and futures and deaths and whatever. Yeah. Like in this case, they take these things as a cautionary tale to tell you a story, completely fictional, but within the realm of this maybe possibility. And sometimes they hit it right in the money.
Oh, yeah.
It happens. I mean, obviously, like when you think of the movie Alien, right? The spaceships of the future will not look like Alien, right? But other things maybe within it would be accurate to what that movie's about some future. Not that the movie's about a future, by the way.
The propulsion system or the navigation system.
Right. I'm just giving you some random example. But yeah. And sometimes the movie gets it right. Other times it's like Ghost in the Machine, right? But other times it could be like Westworld, right? So,
crazy.
What we can say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you think about it, this AI to predict the future, right now, Google search can predict what you're going to type into its search bar, right? Predictive search. When you go to type a word or phrase into Google search and Google finishes the search criteria for you. Isn't that a small example of Google predicting the future?
Yeah. Although it happens rarely with me because I have so many weird things on there. I'm a weird searcher. Well, I'm so curious as to what
you could turn that predictive search on or off. So maybe yours is set to off.
No, it's on. It tries to predict. I'm like, but no, that's not what I'm looking for, bro.
Sorry, bro.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It gets it wrong.
I got you.
Many times with me.
But I don't know. What do you think? But that predictive search, isn't that kind of a little way of predicting the future with Google AI? It's like, it's already happening, man. Unplug everything, Right.
I mean, it makes you feel like, I never thought to, I mean, not never, but it's most people never think to relate to like those people that are Unabomber lives, not like Unabomber, but like the people that, say, fuck technology. I'm going to go live in the woods in a cabin.
Yeah.
Like the people who just like unplug forever, the outcasts. Right. And the more this happens, Jay, the more you can see their point of view. Like, is it worth the cost?
Oh man.
Maybe not. What comfort are you really getting in return for these algorithms knowing all of your shit, even more than you do, more than you do?
Yeah, I know.
Because you don't remember all your search history and you don't know what that says about you as a person, but Google knows.
Isn't that crazy?
And then I'm not saying that they actually know for sure what that makes you as a person, Jay, but I would say that they're closer to that answer than you are because you don't remember all your search stuff. You don't know what you're going through. You don't know why you were at that weird hospice that you didn't remember. It's insane. And my brother, it's funny. This is a little personal story, not like a big story. Yeah. My brother, with the coming of Edward Snowden, especially, and ever since that point in 2013, whenever that happened,
13, yeah,
he got invested into securing his shit. I'm not saying like he went all into cryptocurrency. I'm not saying that necessarily, but like getting email servers that are not like the common shit, that are protected.
Yeah, he's behind.
Right. Not posting any
VPN,
shit.
Yeah.
Right. VPNs, I actually use his all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He got into all that stuff. And honestly, I've been I'm on the edge. I'm between curious and gonna fucking do it all the time. Now, some of that includes some actual work. I have to sit down for an entire afternoon, figure that shit out, know what it is, and do it right. Yeah. I just haven't done that work yet. But I'm that close to it because I agree. It's just, for me, it bothers me. Obviously, you said earlier, it doesn't super bother you.
No, not really. But
at least you don't think of it as nefarious as others might think. But I think that for most people, it isn't that they know for sure that some shady shit is happening. It's the idea that it could happen and we would never know. That's what bothers people.
Yes. There's no transparency there.
Right. That's what bothers me for sure. I'm not saying that I know for sure the NSA is using my information to make a quick buck or anything like that, but or get some information from some terrorist that I might have met one day at a Starbucks. Who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's insane. It's just it's really unfathomable. It's also it kind of makes you. Do you remember? Do you remember in the early 2000s there was a period of time where Hollywood seemed to be in love with hyperlink movies? You know what hyperlink movies are?
No.
You remember the movie Babel with Brad Pitt?
I do. Yes, vaguely. I know I've seen it, but
okay, that's a hyperlink movie. Or like Crash. Remember that movie Crash that won Best Oscar, Best Picture?
Yes, great movie.
I hate that movie. Thanks. That's okay.
So you're talking about how people's lives are
right. That's what you call a hyperlink movie, where they don't know themselves that they're all connected.
Okay.
By events or people or some sort of other connection.
Yeah.
It's like these algorithms took that genre of movies and made it a reality. Right. But using it to farm information.
Damn, if you put it,
do whatever they want. That's what it is. It's like a super connecting web of information that we don't know the answers to unless we really look into it with all that. Because you gave us all the information. Just look at this window, do this, do that. Go. If you're not sure, listeners, go back. It's okay. Go back.
Yeah. And
listen to what Jay was saying. I already forgot to, but go back and look for the drop down windows, whatever he was saying. If you're not sure, because a lot of us blissfully are ignorant to that kind of thing. I am. Or I was way more a year ago, and I still am today. So, trust me, it's completely fine if you are, but you can look into it. Yeah. Anyway, it feels like they took that genre hyperlink movies idea and just took it to the 50 steps ahead of that, but for a profit. Because we got a Sugar Glider. Before we got the Sugar Glider, and around the time we got the cage for it, I was getting pop-ups ads for cages. And I didn't type that in. Lexi showed me on her own phone about it. So clearly my phone /Google /Apple /whatever it is heard me talk about it and will bring it up on my ads on Facebook or Twitter. Not Twitter so much. Actually not Twitter ever. But I would say other things too, like YouTube, for example. And yeah, it would happen all the time. And all of a sudden, they're showing me hey, you want to see this video essay on The Shining? I'm like, how do you know I love The Shining? Right? Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, you're freaking, man. Sometimes I do fall for it. I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to see that. But and it feels kind of wrong. Feels like I'm a part of something that I don't want to be a part of. But it's freaky. It happens all the time.
It does.
We tried to make that happen. Remember with the clown noses? That one episode?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. But we didn't mean it enough. It clearly didn't. I never got any clown noses for sale. But no. But I think it knew we didn't mean it. But it happens all the time, Jay.
Ooh, now that's taking it to a whole nother level.
Right.
Interpreting our sarcasm. Oh, that's scary.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. Think about that. It knows when I'm being sarcastic.
Give it time, man. Give it time. Weird. DeepMind and this X, they're gonna develop some crazy shit.
Yeah, I bookmarked those two sites when you talked about them. I can't wait to read into it more.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah. Go ahead.
No. I was saying that's the thing. We could go on and on with this episode, but I want to leave you with this: a company called in-q-tel. That's INQTEL. It's the venture capital arm of, wait for it, the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA.
Mm.
And yes, the CIA's investment arm, in-q-tel, funds startup technology firms in hopes that the technology being developed by these startups will ultimately be able to assist the U.S. intelligence community. Now, one big name in in-q-tel's portfolio is a company called Keyhole. Now, Keyhole is a company founded by a guy named John Hankey, who previously worked in a foreign affairs position within the U.S. government. With money provided by in-q-tel, in other words, with money provided by the CIA, Keyhole was able to develop a specialized way to stream large databases of mapping data over the internet using data provided by governments and other sources like satellites. The specialized way to deliver the mapping data over the internet was called Keyhole Earth Viewer, and it was used in fields like real estate, urban planning, the defense and intelligence sector, and most notably, the U.S. military used Keyhole Earth Viewer to identify targets, plan routes, and study the movements of Iraqi troops over time in the early to mid-2000s. And at the time, this would be roughly October 2004, Google noticed that 25% of its searches were geospatial in nature. So, Google decided to buy the CIA-backed Keyhole, and Google renamed Keyhole Earth Viewer to, can you guess? Google Earth.
Oh.
Now, the purchase of Keyhole was a milestone event for Google, marking the moment Google stopped being a purely consumer-facing internet company and it began integrating with the U.S. government. To quote a Guardian article from December 20th, 2018, quote, when Google bought Keyhole, it also acquired an in-q-tel executive named Rob Painter, who came with deep connections in the world of intelligence and military contracting, including U.S. Special Operations, the CIA, and major defense firms, among them Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, and Lockheed Martin. At Google, Painter was planted in a new dedicated sales and lobbying division called Google Federal, located in Reston, Virginia, just a short drive from the CIA's headquarters in Langley. His job was to help Google grab a slice of the very lucrative military intelligence contracting market, or as Painter described in Contractor Bureaucratese, evangelizing and implementing Google enterprise solutions for a host of users across the intelligence and defense communities. End quote. What this means is that Painter helped get Google Search, Google Earth, and Google Enterprise, or Google's G Suite products, into just about every major military and intelligence agency, including the State Department. And as a sign as to how vital Google has become to the U.S. government, in 2010, when a disastrous incursion into Google infrastructure, supposedly performed by a group of Chinese government hackers, messed with Google's infrastructure, Google entered into a secretive agreement with the NSA. According to officials who were privy to the details of Google's arrangements with the NSA, the company agreed to provide information about traffic on its network in exchange for intelligence from the NSA about what it knew on foreign hackers. So here we come full circle. Google providing information to the NSA in exchange for threat information against its infrastructure. Today, entire cities and states trust and operate on the Google backbone. Military agencies, hospitals, public schools. Actually, Google mediates the education of more than half of America's public school students. Police departments, emergency responders, countless companies and not-profits, the Federal Highway Administration, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the U.S. Forest Service, and me and you all communicate and store vast amounts of information via Google. Google can even be capable of tracking flu outbreaks, monitoring floods and wildfires, safely serving criminal warrants, integrating surveillance cameras and facial recognition systems, and even helping police officers respond to school shootings, insofar as being able to access a complete, detailed map of the school from a smart device through Google in the event of a school shooting. The world truly operates through Google. Is this something we should be doing? I'm just not sure anymore. Listeners, let us know your thoughts. Contact at chicagoghostpodcast.com. Fucking crazy. And this is really scratching the tip of the iceberg.
Well, that's one way to get frostbite. You know, it would be, I wonder, do you think, I guess it would be a question for you. What, with this Google, kind of like Amazon and like, maybe like, not McDonald's, but, companies that are huge like that. They're called too big to fail, right? That's like a common phrase people use when they talk about companies like this. What, if anything, Jay, could you imagine could actually bring down a behemoth like Google?
Oh,
Besides the end of the world, of course. I'm not saying that, obviously.
oh my God. I don't think, considering it, I don't think it can, because Alphabet is so diversified. There'll always be money to funnel into Google. Always. Always, 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 always.
So you're saying you can't think of of anything that could bring it down?
Oh, I mean, you said like end of the world or some
Besides
catastrophic fucking,
Besides
like
world,
EMP pulse that took all electronics offline, like sci-fi type shit.
Right.
I can't think of a single thing. What startup search engine is going to come and dethrone this behemoth, this provider that basically owns search, owns telecom, owns geospatial technology, owns data sharing, right, through Drive and G Suite and things. They're in everything that we use. There is
no amount of bad PR that could happen that would take it down. There's no amount of I don't know, maybe God forbid, some sort of political outcry that could occur, right? I mean, I'm just asking the question. I know I don't have an answer. No, I'm just saying. No. I'm just trying to ask it because I think these are like.
Well, here's something, and I want to say this was in my research. I didn't write it in the script, but I want to say it was China. It was an Eastern country, right? Severely clamped down on Google. The citizens were not able to search stuff about government, about political things, controversial. What the establishment thought was controversial.
Sounds like China.
Google was basically dead in that country. What Google fucking did is they made a way to mirror everything that they so everything was written backwards.
What?
So it circumvented the clamp, the digital clamp that this country put onto the Google search engine. They actually flipped everything opposite, and you had to read it backwards. So
and that's how
I don't think there's anything that could stop that.
That's how they got away with being in that country?
Yes.
Huh.
For a time being.
Right. I never heard of that. That's crazy.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's called Google mirroring. I think you could Google mirroring. I'm almost certain.
Google mirroring.
Right. But I mean, they're so ingenious, man. I mean, the best minds in the world are working
if they pay
at Google dollar, or subsidiaries. Right?
If they pay top dollar, why wouldn't they get the best? Right.
And another stat I read: 2 million people apply to work at Google a year. 2 million.
A year.
I've done it before.
Oh, you tried?
Oh yeah. Yeah, back when I got out of college.
As what? Mask?
I think it was in like software training, something along those lines. I never got a call back. And what I did is I took, because you got to be creative, right, with Google.
Yeah.
Right? Google's this wacky place to work, right? So I went to my butcher, and you know those little styrofoam trays that like steaks come on? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
It's a styrofoam tray. They have like the blood catcher on top of the styrofoam tray.
Yes, I know exactly.
You put the steak on top of the blood catcher, then they saran wrap it, right?
Yes.
So what I did,
all you vegetarians out there.
Yeah, sorry. So what I did is I took my resume and I created what's called a guerrilla resume. It's a very colorful, visual form of a resume. You look it up, guerrilla resume. So I turned my guerrilla resume, I turned my regular resume into a guerrilla resume. I went to the fucking butcher and I said, I want you to take this. I want you to put it into put it into that little blood tray and wrap it up like a steak, right? And then I had them create a label that would normally go on a steak. This is at the butcher. They did it for free. And it had like my name, or at the top it said, I want a meat, MEAT. Right?
Nice.
See what I'm doing here? And where it had like information about the meat, the weight, sell by date, all the little details you get on those labels. I had to put in my name, my phone number, my address, my email, all this stuff. And I put it in an envelope and I sent it to Google. I never got a call back.
Well, no.
But I thought it was creative. I thought it was being creative, stand out among 2 million, right?
Yeah. You know that movie, There Will Be Blood?
I remember it.
there's a famous opening where he's like, I think the first time he speaks in the movie, the main character, and he says like, if you say I'm an oil man, you would agree. And he starts saying this whole monologue about selling oil and being an oil man and like the best product for their oil in that town. The selling pitch he does, right? And it's kind of a famous scene in that movie. And it was pretty famous in a lot of people's vocabulary in 2008 when it came out. Okay, so that's a reference point. I saw an interview for a film position where they use that as their intro page.
Oh, no shit.
Like if I was a filmmaker, you would agree. Like he would just change the wording to be fit the monologue dialogue of that. And I thought that was very creative too.
Yeah.
And it totally made me think twice about, like, oh, maybe I should get this guy. So it was very cool. That's my point. So I've seen this kind of creative stuff. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so, I think in order to really step into Google, you'd have to create a job there.
You might be right. Yeah.
You're like the chief of theory. Yeah. Like it was something
it's
bizarre.
Impossible. Yeah. It's impossible.
I'm sure.
But I don't think anything could ever take it down. I really don't. I think they would decide to get out of the business before something took them down, honestly. And of course, that'll never happen either.
I think that goes hand in hand with too big to fail. It's like when you roll down a snowball down a mountain, and then it gets literally too big for you to stop it.
Yes.
Like the person who started it can't stop that snowball going down that mountain. I think it's well past that point now.
I do too. Yeah, it's going to reach $1 trillion within the next 2 to 3 years. I guarantee.
Yeah,
$1 trillion.
So you're thinking that Google will beat Bezos or Amazon into that trillionaire status?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. Yes, they're close.
I mean, for me, it's a toss-up. Who cares? They're so beyond my.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in a different universe. That's my point.
Yeah, I hope we didn't piss any of the algorithms off with this kind of critical episode.
Well, I did hear some crackling earlier in your intro, but I don't know.
Shit.
I'm pretty sure I'm sure the audio is fine.
Cool.
You
never know. It's always listening, right? Right. And if you are a listener and listening to this right now, then clearly it worked and it went through fine. Awesome. But right now, we're recording this. We have no idea. We're pressing time. Yeah. I mean, after doing this research, I don't put it past.
I think if like aliens came to Earth from some other planet to meet the leaders of the world, I think they would probably meet the Google owners more than the presidents.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like those, like who owns Ford, or I don't know. I can't think of another big company to save my life, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Microsoft.
You clearly must be an owner. You control all these people's lives. I'm like, what's a president? Like, they're only here for 8 years max. Right.
And they're brilliant in that, their services for the most part are free. It's all free. Right. I mean, sure, there's paid versions, enterprise of Google Drive and all this, but for the most part, it's all free. Mm-hmm. But what they're doing is they're packaging you up, and they're folding you into this cute little digital package and handing it to advertisers. That's where the money comes in. And it's brilliant.
That was part of the Wild Westness of the internet when it was first starting off, is that people were wondering, how are people going to make money off this?
Yeah.
Because before blogs were a thing, and Roger Ebert could write reviews online for everyone to enjoy, you would have to buy a newspaper to read his review.
Right.
That's buying a product. It's his opinions you're reading, among other writers and other articles, but that's what you're doing. And then with the internet, like, how can you sell free thought? How can you sell something you type at home for money? How can you? Yes, you can do that. Obviously, the Amazon thing is a different thing because they're actually selling products online. But like this Google search engine, you can search for free. That's a company that made money. Not only did it make money, but it's nearly $1 trillion. How is, it's insane.
Holy shit, deja vu. Wow.
Really?
Wow.
Really?
Big time.
The way I was like laying down and stuff?
No, that last sentence you said.
Really?
Oh, man. Goosebumps. Holy shit.
Awesome. Love it.
Oh,
Love when that happens.
that was really weird.
I mean,
yeah. Anyway.
Sorry, that's all I got.
Out a little bit. No, it's great, dude.
I guess you're sleeping well today.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I tripped over my words a few times. I'm so tired. Anyway.
I understand.
Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? I was worried because it's not, typically in our typical vein of topics, but.
I mean, we did one on coincidence. I mean, come on. No. It's very, I think it's, not only I feel like it's important to know. I didn't know most of that stuff. I mean, 90% I didn't know. So I do think it was good and I liked it. And I think it's also necessary. It's like bedrock to conspiracy or bedrock to other shady shit that we do actually talk about when we think of, specific examples like Elsa Gate or a serial killer or a serial killer itself, right? Like that's specific. But this goes hand in hand with that other stuff that we do actually specialize in. So it makes sense.
Cool. All right.
I dig it.
I've always been interested in it. This gave me a reason to sit down and do it, So good. I'm glad. Hopefully the listeners enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
Oscar, what do you say we get out of here?
Let's do it.
You want to take us home?
I'll take myself home.
Take us home. Yeah, I don't blame you. I think I have everything for a White Russian too. Damn it.
Holy shit. Sounds like something you can fix right now.
I know. That really does sound good.
So I bought I've been drinking it every night for the last 4 nights because I bought a heavy whipping cream thing like a month ago, but it's still good, right? It's still good for a while.
It lasts forever.
It does, but it's on its descent from its best days are behind it, is my point. So, like, it's in his mid-30s. It's kind of settling, I was regretting the children it has, so I want to start drinking it. Right?
Regretting all the decisions it's made up to this point.
Right. So I want to make sure. Right, exactly. It's so
trying to figure out where it went wrong.
It's trying to understand how taxes really work.
Yeah.
And so I want to drink it before it really kills itself.
It's funny. How's everything else?
Well, everything is great, but for everything else, there's MasterCard. We've been chilling with Lilith. I mean, Lexi has been just fucking, what do you call it?
Addicted?
I would say addicted. That's a good one. She's definitely bogarting all of the time as much as she can with Lilith.
Wow.
Yes, you are. And it's great. Lilith keeps biting her. It's a sign of affection and curiosity. It's not like a bad thing, but the bites hurt. They're like little needles. She bit me today. I never let her actually bite me. Like once I start feeling the teeth, I go like this. Like, nope, don't do that. I don't want her to bite me.
Yeah.
Because I've seen Lexi's scars in her arm. Is like, she looks like a junkie. Like,
oh my gosh.
She's about to show you. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh man. Yeah. Right. Wow.
Right. And they're not all biters necessarily, maybe, but I think we got a biter on our hands.
We got a biter on our hands. What movie is that from?
That does sound like a movie. What? Oh, baby teething, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but even then, not all of them are this bitey. I don't have pets. It's my first pet. I guess this is common. Anyway, but yeah, and I was playing with her the most today by myself because I had the day off and she worked. It was great. She loves playing with my hair.
Aw.
She loves playing with it. She digs in there and starts biting my hair. She's going nuts. I don't feel anything. It just feels tickly. It's great. She loves my hat too. She loves climbing on it and like the little holes. You know the little holes that have
yeah,
whatever.
Little breather holes or whatever in the hat.
She likes to pull hair from there. Like it's okay. It's not that word. And then she's like trying like weeds. Like it's like weeds to her, right?
That's so
and
funny.
It's great feeding her and petting her and like constantly massaging her. She loves it. I love it. She's definitely spoiled.
You see, you guys don't need kids. You have a flying squirrel.
Yeah.
What did you think of Grease?
Well, I've seen Grease before. It's just been a long time. It's just been a long time.
I don't
remember. I remember nothing. I remember Grease Lightning and the Tell Me More. Tell Me. That's it. I don't remember shit about that movie.
Oh, it's so great.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it. She loves that movie. She'll talk your ear off.
And nobody could dance better than Pop. What was it? Oh, fuck.
John Travolta?
No, the girl, the woman. You know, she played a high schooler, but she looked like she was 45. You're
talking about the main high schooler or the other one?
The other one, the Mexican chick. Papa DiGrigio.
The girl?
Yeah, the Hispanic girl. She was John Travolta's rival's girlfriend, the pockmarked guy.
Yeah. Oh, you liked her. Okay. I thought you were talking about Rizzo, but that's not the same one.
No.
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
Papa DiGrigio, I think. Like Cha-Cha. Wasn't it Cha-Cha Papa DiGrigio?
It sounds made up enough to be it. I just don't remember.
I swear to God. I think that's who it was.
So yeah, the hots for her. Annette Charles is her name. Is Cha-Cha, yeah.
What was her last name? Does it show her last name? It was hilarious.
It does not show her last name.
Okay.
It just says Cha-Cha.
Yeah, Cha-Cha.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, wow. I didn't know you knew that movie so well. So I want to show her next, maybe the next movie for her. I'm going to show her Saturday Night Fever.
Ooh, yes.
Because it's a good sequel it's like a spiritual sequel to Grease.
A spiritual sequel to Grease. I like that.
But isn't it though? Because he's older. It's all about dancing. It's in the 70s, so it's a different decade. It's an older decade from where they are in Greece.
Yeah.
It's also more adult and more fucked up.
So you think it's yeah, so I haven't seen Saturday Night Fever in fucking probably 20-something years. So I would love to see it again.
You should watch it again. It's surprisingly good.
I think you're right.
Live watch.
Yeah. Our listeners be like, what the fuck? First Google and now this?
Be weird.
I'd just let my grass grow and let my car break down.
Yeah.
I'd just be that weird millionaire.
The lazy millionaire?
Absolutely.
Right?
I wouldn't shave. I'd walk around in like a dirty bathrobe.
Forget about donations or working for some charity. No.
No.
Get away from me.
I'd stop cutting my lawn.
Yeah. Stop. What does cutting your lawn have to do with you being like, I don't know. How is that a symbol for you?
I don't know. I just think it would be fundy.
Yeah.
Have all this money and just the shittiest lawn in the block.
You can't even hire our gardenscape person or whatever.
No.
What do you call them? You call them something.
Landscapers.
Thank you.
No, because I have them come every Friday now, and if I was a millionaire, I'd say, I don't need you anymore.
Oh, you have a service?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't have time to do all that shit.
Well, you have an acre, so yeah.
I'm not doing that.
In the old days, you have a little piece of land, but nowadays you have a rich piece of land. That's an acre, bro. That's like a football field. Comparatively to me, where I have no garden. Not that I want one, by the way. I don't want one. That's a headache. It's just another headache. That's what I would look at it.
Yep.
Look what else I have to upkeep. Yeah.
That's right. If I didn't have the lawn crew, I wouldn't keep up with that shit.
That's awesome. I really thought that you did it.
No, hell no.
Yeah, I guess I've never pegged you as a lawn guy either, like working outside like that.
No, when I had a smaller lawn, I did it all. But now with this, it's just too much. It would take half a day, you know what I mean?
I mean, you should. Once Nico gets to be a certain age, you can just have him do it. That's like the son's job.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you don't have to get gender neutral. You could make Talia do it today, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, like Danny, we all did it, like as kids.
Yeah,
we all had to do it. We all had to.
It's the rite of passage.
My earlobe a little bit. It tickles and hurts at the same time.
It's
fine though. It's very cute. Yeah.
It tickles and hurts at the same time.
Just like life, really.
Sounds,
Life is just a series of tickles and pains, really.
That's very true. I'm waiting for the tickle. It's got to come.
I knew you were going to say something.
Eventually.
I knew you were going to say something like that. Oh, that's great. I'm still waiting for the tickle. A little late on the tickle part. Where's the tickle train?
Still waiting for the tickle train.
I don't know why I find that funny. Yeah. Oh, man. What if you have like... Nah, I got nothing. I just had this idea, though, that it's obviously impossible. But like you sit down, Nico and Talia, right? In front of their laptops, ready for school. And you have a webcam on them. So when you're working, there's a little monitor that shows them, right?
Oh, I should.
And every time they're about to screw up, there's a little electrical shock plate underneath.
Dude, I am not adverse to using handcuffs. Straps. You're going to sit in the spot.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
And Nico's teacher is like, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. I can't miss teacher because the handcuffs are there.
The first day of school, I'm going to have DCFS at my house.
Yes, exactly. You ready to come back?
Yeah, one more vape.
Oh, don't fucking tell me twice.
You got to tell me twice, motherfucker.
I said, I've only fucked one mother. Does that make me a motherfucker forever?
The answer is yes.
I guess you are too, technically. Although that does sound weirder.
It does sound weird. God, I'm all nasally. I feel stuffy right here. Deme más gasolina. Deme más gasolina. Hey. I'm out. Fuck this podcast.
Where's the table?
I wrote that into the podcast. You'll see.
What, the gasolina thing?
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, fuck.
Just wait, my friend.
Fuck. That's fine. You know that song is about sex, right?
Is it really?
Yeah, gasolina just means like sex energy. Is what he's saying.
Sex energy.
Basically. Yeah, I don't remember anymore. I used to know the lyrics, but I don't remember anymore. Anyway, sorry. So we'll come back in 5, 4, 3, 2,
listeners,
1. I'm sorry. Every 10 shows I do that to you. Sorry.
In that case. Sweet breathing. You hear vapors are more prone to COVID?
Because they hate vapors? People who like that?
That's what they say. I just read it the other day.
Say anything. Did you know that my elbow cures cancer?
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2.